If you're interested in getting into art but don't know really where to begin or who to look into, I highly recommend looking into Frida Kahlo. She was a woman of intense emotion and endured a lot of physical and emotional pain throughout her life, which then translated over into her artwork. I first became enamored with Frida Kahlo and her history and her life when I came across the movie Frida, starring Salma Hayek. I know it sounds silly and stupid, but it's actually not too far from the actual facts. So today I'm going to share with you a little bit about Frida's life, how she got started in art, her relationship with her teacher, mentor, and then later husband, Diego Rivera, some of her famous paintings, and what inspired them. To begin with her trials and tribulations, the physical and emotional pain, the physical pain which contributed to the emotional pain. Frida contracted polio at the age of 6 and was bedridden for 9 months. The polio affected her right leg to the point that it didn't grow as well as the left leg did. It looked skinnier and just not as well developed as the left leg. Her father encouraged her always to do sports to further that recovery, according to FridaKahlo.org. Later in life, when she was about 15, in the year 1922, Frida was on her way to school and unfortunately got into a catastrophic car crash while she was on a city bus. The city bus collided into a streetcar, and one of the steel handrails impaled her hip, leaving spinal and pelvic fractures that affected her health and her well-being for the rest of her life until the day that she passed away. She went to the hospital, left the hospital, went home in a full body cast, and was in the full body cast for 3 months. And this is when she began to paint. Her parents, according to FridaKahlo.org, made her an easel that would fit beside her bed so that she wouldn't really have to move all that much and she can begin painting and drawing. According again to FridaKahlo.org, she says that she was her best and only muse because she was often alone during this time. Next, I'd like to talk to you about her relationship with her teacher and then husband, Diego Rivera. So a little bit before her accident with the bus is when she came across Diego. She was 15. It was still the year 1922. And according to FridaKahlo.org, she had told some peers and friends of hers that one day she was going to marry him because she was so infatuated with him. He was 21 years older than her. Pretty gross. After Frida's accident, she healed about 6 years later in 1928. Diego and her reconnected. She kind of sought after him to get his opinions on some of her work and some advice. And then not too long after that is when their relationship ensued. They got married a year later in 1929, and due to their non-traditional domestic situation, meaning that they had separate living houses and separate art studios, as well as major infidelity on both sides, they got divorced in 1939. A year later, in 1940, they got back together and then stayed together until Frida passed away in 1954. Lastly, I want to talk to you about her artwork. Her relationship with Diego brings me to one of the first pieces that I thought of, which is the two Fridas painted in 1939, and it was inspired by the divorce from Diego Rivera and her heartbreak that she endured. The next painting that I thought of was the Wounded Deer, painted in 1946, and it was painted the same year that she had an operation on her spine, hoping to get rid of the residual back pain that she was feeling from the major accident that she was in when she was 15 years old. The last painting that I thought of was the Henry Ford Hospital painting, aka the Flying Bed, painted in 1932 after having a miscarriage at the hospital. If you go to look up these paintings, I just want to give you a warning that they are a little intense and can be maybe gory to some people, so just beware if you do that. You know, as I said, if you're looking to get into art, if you're interested at all, I highly suggest Frida Kahlo. She was a woman. She was a woman of emotion, as I said, but she was an enigma. Okay, I mean, she just blew it all out of the water. Everything she felt and experienced, she put right in front of you, and you were not going to ignore her. Her paintings, The Wounded Deer, The Flying Bed, and the two Fridas, those are all examples of it. And the emotional pain that she dealt with from her relationship with Diego tied into those paintings and her artwork, as well as the physical trauma that she endured from an early age. So I highly recommend Frida. Thank you.